everybody. Please put your tiny hands together. Yeah, Jamie's looking at me. Put your tiny hands together and welcome Robyn, the amazing creator, originator of the Tarot of Oneness. Robyn, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited. I'm nervous too, but I'm excited.
We're gonna probably spend the next 60 to 70 minutes fawning all over you and your creation. So gird your loins.
Sounds great.
Gird your loins. Jaime, Wandering Mountain Bardic Path is there in her full and beautiful pink glory. We have the originator of the person who introduced us to the Tarot of Oneness, and that is Ritchie, Longman Tarot. And I'm Tarot Stash. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. And everybody, please welcome to the Tarot of Oneness Deck Casual, and this is part 2. So yeah, part 2. We have so Robyn, where are you located, if I may ask? And I don't need a street address or anything like that.
Okay. I'm actually in a town called Cobden, which is a small town in the Ottawa Valley in Ontario.
Okay.
I grew up in Toronto, so I grew up in the big city, but I now live in a very wee little town. I think there's 1,000 people here. So
it's a poke and plum. You poke your head out the window and it's plumb gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Don't blink when you drive through.
Yeah.
Don't blink when you drive through. Okay. So, okay. For entertainment purposes only, do not make decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance. Really? We are going to be talking about the Tarot of Oneness. Many of you already have this. Those of you who are watching this and you watched part 1, if you missed part 1, it's linked below. All of the links for all of us are below, including Robyn's website and Etsy store, to where you can purchase responsibly, know your limits. We are here to share, not to sell. And if you want to be silly and say Tarot Stash sent me, that will get you absolutely nothing. So just the joy of knowing that you've spread some happiness. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm doing all of the things. I'm doing all
really well.
So, and okay, and again, we are simulcasting on Ritchie's channel. So anybody who watches this, thank you. All of the links are below. So how about we say hi to some of the best chatters?
Hello.
Let's do that. I am going to scroll through because I do want to. It's really hard to use my tiny hands to get all of the scrolling. I'm doing this to annoy Jaime. Ow. Yeah. Beth is here. Aspasia Rising.
Hi, Beth.
Sonia J. Hello. Free Spirit.
Hello.
Philippa. Jonathan Daly is here. Hello, Jonathan. And and words of advice. Robyn, don't be nervous. Not to boast, but we're all super nice.
Speak for yourself, Beth.
So Maru is here. Hello. And Lightfoot is here. Hi, Lightfoot. I'm glad you made it.
Hello.
Mars 54. Just saw the notification whilst having coffee.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Our shining lights. And Kaylee is here. Kaylee will be on with us in a couple of hours with me and Jaime, as Kaylee is asking us, has only prepared 25 questions to ask us during our back and forth.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Be there for it.
Just a few. And this is my husband, Jadair Al. Hello. And it's like so excited for this live. Love, love, love this deck.
Yay.
So,
I love you, Jeffrey.
And Kaylee said, hello, Jeffrey. It was awesome chatting with you yesterday. Jeffrey and I did a Tarot the Stashway where we took Q&A for people who are learning tarot.
Lovely.
So, and there's Ritchie's link. Go over and check
thank
for
you.
it. Mars 54 always laughs at the tiny hands. Somebody laughs, Jaime.
I'm sorry.
So, Teresa Ford. Look, Chris, Elemental Cartomancy. Chris sometimes has some language which is highly encouraged. So if you find it offensive, my apologies. I will hide him. I won't. Yeah, touche, Jaime. So, Robyn, tell us a little bit about you before we get into this beautiful tarot deck that we love. It's called Tarot of Oneness. Links are below. Know your limits. Purchase responsibly.
Where to begin? Let me see. I live in the Ottawa Valley. I have two daughters, two beautiful daughters. They're 22 and 24.
Nice.
They don't live at home with me anymore because they rudely decided to go out on their own. I do deck creation on the side, although I would love it if it was my forever everyday thing. I'm actually working on a couple right now, which is great, but I do have a day job.
Okay.
Yeah, actually I sell real estate. Don't judge me, please. But that is my day job. Well, that's not really during the day. It's all over the map. But
yeah.
What else can I tell you? I've always been an artist, and we'll get into, I guess, the deck creation. I can tell you a little bit more about that. But I do all different mediums. This particular one I did digitally, but yeah, I don't know. What else can I tell you?
Well, okay. So you've been, I'm actually distracted by you're creating a couple of more decks.
Yes. So I have far too many different directions going on in my head right now. I do have a little cutesy one that I'll put out soon. I'm nervous to put it out. I'm nervous about all of them. Every time you put it out there, it's like, but I have a little one called Spark I'm going to put out soon. And it's all about finding the spark of light within you, whatever it might be, creativity or your healing physically, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of meant for all, even for kids, right? It's something, it's inspirational. So I finished doing all the cards for that. So I'm still working on that a bit, but yeah, I want to do an oracle to complement the Tarot of Oneness. So it started, still working on that.
Ritchie and I are like, ooh, okay.
I thought for a moment. I thought that.
Yes,
well,
please.
And you know what? Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you guys or anybody has thoughts about what they might like to see and what they think might complement, by all means, let me know. But I mean, I have a million ideas going through my head. I do have some cards in the works, but anyway, I'm just open to everybody's feedback for sure.
Wow.
And I have another one that I'm working on. I don't know exactly. I have just too many. There's one right now that's kind of temporarily called Pieces of Me, and it is about it's an oracle. So I'll tell more about that later.
Okay.
Still working on it.
And so if people wanted to find out about these decks and to stay notified about them, how would they do that?
Well, I think my Instagram is probably the best right now. I've been really bad at Instagram. It was a kind of a crazy year last year, so I haven't posted as much as I should, but I will be getting back into that and communicating a lot better that way. So right now, that's probably my best. And that's at Solstice Healing, SoulsticeHealing Healing.
Yes. I think I followed you, I believe. And I have to say this, Kaylee put up a glimmer, perhaps.
Glimmer?
Are you familiar with the term glimmer?
No.
Glimmer, I did a whole series about glimmers and glimmer globe.
Oh, I'll have to look.
Glimmers are the opposite of a trigger. Glimmers are when our body is in sync with our heart and our mind and our soul. And it's those shining lights that make us feel safe and heard and bring value. So I am a firm believer that what you pay attention to, you get more of. So in January, I did something called Glimmer Globe, where we were capturing glimmers, writing them on paper, and then putting them into a globe or something that builds that energy. So it's really, it was
I
awesome.
like it. I'll have to go back and look.
Yep. Yeah. So it's quite beautiful. It's quite beautiful. And
I like that.
And Jonathan is excited for an Oracle of Oneness.
Yeah.
So Beth had said, Robyn, there is an indie deck by Corey Hess called Spark Tarot. I don't know if that matters to you.
Interesting.
I'll
have to go. I don't know that one.
Yep.
Thank you for that. I will go look it up. Yeah, because it's an Oracle deck, but if I don't want it to be confused. And so yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Okay. And thank you for the Etsy link. Maru. Maru is one of the best moderators.
Yes.
And and this is good news. Our Chris just got a message that he's been accepted as a reader to do a fair next month. So I'm slightly shitting himself.
That's amazing.
Just slightly.
Yeah. All right. Mousy has arrived. Michelle Marie. There's a whole bunch of other people are here. So, okay. Kaylee, who lives in Ottawa, wants to know, is there somewhere local they can buy your deck?
No, but my daughters both live in Ottawa, so I'm back and forth I don't say all the time, but regularly, so we could always work something out.
So there you go.
And save on the shipping. How amazing would that be?
And that was something that we talked about last time. You are very forthright with the shipping information.
Yeah.
And you're like going, it's either shipping from somewhere else or from Canada, and we're picking the one that is best for you.
Yeah, and I know there's actually a lot of people who are they don't like, well, I don't say a lot of people. I've had a few people disappointed that their deck came from China, but it's the only way I can make it available to many countries, because from Canada shipping is insane.
Crazy.
It's terrible. And I mean, I also do, well, anyways, so that's why I do that. I want to make it as accessible as possible. And I know shipping all over is crazy. Yeah. So yes. And I'm the unfortunate part of that is I can't throw in a bunch of little goodies and stuff like that when it comes from the fulfillment center. But I think better shipping prices is probably better than having a few stickers and stuff thrown in, right?
Right.
Yes, and I have to say, let's start talking about this amazing your third baby. You know, you also have 3 dogs. So is this 6?
True. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yes, we'll go with 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the deck creation, and I'm interested in what was it that got you to think of doing a deck like this, and a little bit of the process. So
I knew I wanted to create a deck, and I was trying to think of what I wanted to do, and I kind of went down a bunch of different routes, drawing some things, and nothing was really clicking. But as I mentioned, I am in real estate, and a lot of my days are spent driving and big distances, a long time. So I'd sit in my car and think, what can I do? What can I do? And really the Fool card is the first card that, I mean, it is the first card, but it was the one I was kind of going with, thinking how I was going to do it. And I had this idea that, when you look at the tarot deck and you see the Fool usually stepping off a cliff, you're looking at somebody doing that. And I thought, how can I make it more personal? And that's when I kind of pictured looking down at my feet and imagining stepping off myself. And I thought, holy crap. So I spent hours and hours driving around for work thinking, okay, how would I do that card in first person? How would I do that card? And just trying to figure it all out. And because I didn't know if I could do it. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do all these cards. And then everyone I thought of, I kind of pictured something. I thought, oh, I think I can. I think I can do this. And the part that stumped me were the court cards. I thought, how am I going to do that? And I honestly, when I had enough ideas about the minors, I just thought, you know what, the majors will come. I'll deal with them last. So I did all the rest of them, and then that's when I got going on the majors and did them the way I did. But not the majors, the courts. But yeah, it was really just, I really wanted it to be a very intuitive, emotional, personal experience when you worked with the cards. So you weren't I am obsessed with tarot and oracle. I don't even want to, I don't know how many decks I have, and I don't want to admit it in public. So
no judgment. Yeah.
But,
not here.
Yeah. But I love all the different creative expressions. Every one of them is so unique and amazing in its own way. But to me, I thought, okay, that's the route I want to go. I want it to be a personal experience that you connect and step into the card with each card.
And Jaime, Ritchie, anything you'd like to say, because I will fill the time.
Well, the thing that keeps coming to mind that I wanted to ask, and it might be somewhere in the the process of things, and I always jump the gun, but do you have a background in color theory or something like that?
So when I was growing up in Toronto, I went to a school of the arts. I was a visual arts major. I went for a couple of years, had a little too much fun, we'll say, and decided to, didn't spend all of my high school there. I ended up going into a fine art program and then eventually just majoring in art history at University of Toronto, and art history and business. So that's kind of my background. And then I've always been artistic. That was always my thing. And I actually spent many years as a graphic artist, freelancing. So that's really all my training as far as that kind of stuff is concerned. Well, as far as the colors and stuff like that, that's more from feel. I go what feels right. Yeah.
I like that. You can feel it.
Yes, I like that, because yes, you can feel it. There's a draw in, not just with the perspective, as in you're part of the card. You are the card.
Yeah.
It's the I mean, look at the back of the deck. Come on. It's like it's incredible. So
yeah, I wanted also, I think you see throughout it, I've tried to do things with limited color, like paintings with monochrome, like really tried to do that. I can't. I'm not physically capable. I can't. It always ends up being a ridiculous splash of color. But I also really wanted to focus with all the cards on light, so you can see a lot of orbs and different types of lighting effects in glitter and sparkles. Because I mean, who doesn't? Well, I love glitter and sparkles. So yeah, so there's a lot of that integrated too, because I really wanted light to be a big part of it.
And this just in. Deanne, Blue Crescent Tarot is here, and somehow I don't have this.
Fix that. Fix it. Purchase responsibly. Fix it.
Purchase responsibly. Well, and here's the thing: you've created this deck, and then you have made it available in a mini version.
Yes. Yeah.
So that Jaime is like, oh my gosh! I should tell you this. I dropped my cards earlier this week, and I was putting my deck in order. I was missing a card, and I'm like going, oh my god! I'm going to have to order another copy of the deck and a copy of the mini, I think.
No, you know what? I've had a couple of decks because sometimes stuff happens at the printer. Like I've had a couple of people reach out and say, "There's a black mark on this card," or with the first, was either the first print run or the second. There was even a couple of missing cards. It was crazy. But please, if anybody out there ever gets a deck with a damaged card or or if anything is wrong, tell me and I'll fix it. I will write it. And if you do lose a card, just reach out. I have a few decks that I keep with that I'll just send you the card. You don't have to buy the deck.
Well, that's, I mean, I mean, go ahead.
Or you could do what I did and just buy a second deck, because I didn't want to. The fear, the worry that something might happen to one card was just keeping me awake at night. So I had to buy a second copy.
That's why I'm thinking about the mini again.
I hear you.
Yes. Well, and I do have to, Jeffrey posted, I had no qualms with shipping. I ordered after 2 of the hosts received it before both of them. He's bragging.
Well, he definitely received it before I did.
Robyn, Jaime is pointing out the fact that it took a while for me to ship her a copy of her deck, but she did get some other stuff with it.
My birthday present. Thank you.
Your birthday present.
I remember that, actually. That's funny. Yeah.
Oh my God, she remembers it. Oh geez.
Yeah.
So
fondly.
Yes. So one of the things that I appreciate about, and by the way, I have a whole list of, here are cards that we can talk about, but let's talk a little bit about the court cards.
Sure.
So, because for those of you who may not remember, the court cards they have been renamed.
Yep.
We have inspiration, we have action, we have spirit, and we have embodiment. Oops, sorry. So, will you tell us about that process to come to that decision, which I love?
So, yeah, I think the whole deck, I wanted to be as non-gender specific as possible. So I didn't want to put, there is a little bit of gender in there that I couldn't really avoid, but I tried to keep it as non-gender as possible because I just wanted everyone to connect to any card, and so I knew that I wanted to keep it, not put figures of people and faces and stuff like that, but which is why there's 2 lovers cards, which I know you guys talked about too, but and I keep both of mine in the deck, by the way. I keep both most of the time. It depends, sometimes not, but anyways, I like having them both in there. They can signal different things that depending on who you're reading with. So, but anyways, so I also wanted to make sure that the court cards weren't, I didn't want a hierarchy. So I didn't want anything that showed hierarchy. And I wanted it to be more about the energy of someone or yourself in that space, right? So, whether it was the inspiration instead of the pages was, where there's a lot of, thought energy and visualizations and stuff like that. So it's sort of early and it's all going on here and you're thinking and dreaming up things and stuff like that. So, so more about what's going on in you and what energy you're holding in those, different aspects of yourself. But so that's kind of why I went that route instead.
Yeah, very much.
Let me know.
And it works very nicely.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't really think of it in the sense of hierarchy, because with this, they are all equal.
Yeah. And I know it's a hard thing to do too when you change the names of cards like that and you kind of approach it from a different angle, because it's worrisome if people are going to get it. This is how I see it. This is how I saw it for this deck. And I was really worried putting it out there. But I think for the most part, it's been, I think I haven't really heard anything. Maybe one person said they would have preferred the typical names, but each to their own, right? So
create your own deck.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's okay. I'm not, I know not all cards are going to resonate with everybody, and I'm okay with that. It's all right.
And thinking about it, each one, you kind of need one to have the other. So you can't really have spirit without having inspiration. You can't have action without embodiment. And
exactly.
think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and you kind of notice the progression from, like I was saying, the visualizing, the inspiration, all that kind of stuff, to the embodiment cards, which are the kings, where they're physical objects sitting there. So it's kind of going from, here to solid kind of, objects, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and we also, you had already mentioned that there are 2 lovers in the deck. We showed that before, and so there's those. I do keep both lovers in my deck because one of them tends to be, there's a feeling of divine masculine and a divine feminine in those.
Yeah.
So that's how I read them.
Yeah, me too. And even if you're, if I'm doing a reading for myself, for example, and I pull, the more feminine energy, then I kind of interpret it more as a soul connection, friendship. It doesn't have to be a male or a female, but whereas if I pull the male, because then maybe there's a love connection for me. I can read them however works with the other cards that I've pulled, and I like that they're both in there. I like having those different opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the best chatters have commented about the court cards and the naming of the court cards. Chris, Elemental Cartomancy, says, sometimes with changes, there can be a translation period in your head if the new titles are a bit out there, but I think these changes make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yes.
That is good. Yeah, I agree, though, 100%. That's what I was worried about. I was worried because I do have decks that are absolutely fantastic, but I have to, when I look at them, I think, what is this again? What is this? The is this supposed to be the page energy, the king?
Yeah. And Jeffrey said, I like that the court cards are more of a personal goal. You or who you're reading for can be any of these cards, more personable and relatable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And Jonathan shared, I don't have any problem with renaming of the court cards. They're very intuitive. Yep. And Beth shared also, yes, interconnected rather than a hierarchy.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing. Jaime, Ritchie, anything to add before I talk about before I ask about the extra cards?
No, I don't
I'm
think
good.
so.
Okay. So give us a little bit of the scoop of the extra cards, Robyn, because I put numbers on those because I like the numerology.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should in future versions consider doing that, adding those numbers, because I don't know why I was just like, oh, these are extra cards. So I didn't add
It's okay. And that's just me.
Yeah.
I did the same thing though.
Yeah, that card, the Life Force Energy card. So I actually first, went through and thought what concepts aren't necessarily specifically in the tarot deck that connect with the concept of oneness and the whole energy of the deck, which is why I chose those specific ones. But that card, I was out with my daughters a few years ago, and we were driving to town, about an hour away, and we stopped in this little park-like setting, and that was it right there. I took pictures of my girls there, and it was so peaceful and beautiful, and we had so much fun there watching the chipmunks and the birds, and taking pictures and all that kind of stuff. So I actually drew that card based on my experience there with my girls.
I love that.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. And then we have the oneness.
Yeah, that was a oneness card. It's funny because I thought I really want to what do you draw for something that isn't really have a physical object associated with it?
Yeah.
So I just thought light. That's about light and color to me, and feel it, like you're feeling, right?
Yeah.
What you get from that.
Yeah. And then we have a present moment, which I love.
Yes. Yeah. Looking very closely at that succulent and just really noticing the intricacies of it and the beauty of it. And
that's amazing.
Drawing in.
And then synchronicity.
Yeah. Feathers mean a lot to me. I don't know. I know that's a lot of people feel that way. So that one, there's a lot of feathers in that picture, a lot of reference to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So you picked these because these concepts weren't as forward in in the traditional tarot.
Yeah, and I mean, if it wasn't the Tarot of Oneness, they would have been different cards if it was a different theme deck. But I just felt like, synchronicity was a nice, and well, present moment in particular. I felt, how could I have this deck without having that present moment card? It just seemed to fit so perfectly with the whole energy of the deck, and life force energy too. How could I have one about them? It just, they seem to fit with the theme of the deck really well. And I, at one point, I had thought of doing like a shadow card, but that didn't work for me with this deck. I can't put a card about, there are cards about shadows in the tarot. So so I did go through a whole process of elimination, and I just felt they were a good fit for the
absolutely
Oneness.
Absolutely. Well, I love them. So and and because I am an adult and I have a pen, I wrote my numbers on them because that works for me.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that's a really good point, though. It's funny. I don't know why it didn't occur to me to add the numbers to it. And I don't know how other people feel about that, but I mean, that's a good point.
Ritchie is slowly over there screaming internally at the two of us writing on our cards. He has two copies of the deck to keep it sacred.
How tight my white knuckles have gone on it.
Like, I don't want to bend them. I don't want to any of my decks.
I am actually, I've been using this a lot, and I do enjoy it. I am looking forward to it showing all of the wear and tear in about 5 or 6 years. It's going to be great.
That's why I like this specific edging, because use does not show on it. And I love that.
Yeah. It's standing the test of time pretty good, I think. Yeah. Which is, you never know going in, right? Because I knew the kind of stock I wanted and everything, but I mean, you don't really know. You're just like, please God, let this work.
The card stock's great. It's fabulous.
Yeah. And and Beth is like, seriously, I was thinking, what's wrong with Ritchie as I watched him white knuckle it.
Well, I'm being hit by this energy coming over here as he's talking about writing, and it's like, it's painful.
And to be honest with you, I'm ignoring both of you because I'm here with the Robyn and the creator of this deck. So I'm going to go ahead.
Perhaps if I've got a second deck, I could afford to write on one of them. And if it goes horribly wrong, I know where I could get a spare card from now.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
Horribly wrong.
Yeah.
If it goes.
And let me tell you guys something, just as my thank you to you guys for doing this, and send me an email reminding me of your addresses. I'll send you each a mini. On me.
Oh my God.
That's so kind.
Okay, so
I'm excited.
oh my God. That's very generous. Thank you.
Very kind.
Here you go. We'll do this. This section of the video is brought to you by the word gobsmacked. Everyone say it with me. Gobsmacked. Gobsmacked. Overwhelmed with wonder, surprise, or shock. Astounded. I was gobsmacked to learn some people watching haven't liked, shared, or subscribed to our channels. Gobsmacked.
That's awesome.
Thank you. You're very kind. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. Ritchie, what would you like to, let's talk about some cards.
Let's talk about some aces. Shall we get some aces out?
Let's get some aces out.
Let's get some aces out, because when I saw the deck on Kickstarter, I fell in love with it straight away. So excited for it. And I was absolutely blown away when I opened the deck. And I came across the aces, and I was just a bit like, okay, because personally, I'm not a person that likes lots of animals on their decks. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I'd work with it, and I'd work with it. And then I remember I was doing some readings live with Gerald, and it all clicked into place because that card came up with the Ace of Swords, and I was a bit like, I don't get the feathers. I just don't get the feathers thing. And then Gerald, I don't know if you remember, he talked about it last time. I was just getting this bird, and these feathers were coming through in the reading, and I went with my gut intuition, and it turned out that the person we're reading for had literally was just about to go and adopt 2 birds from the pet shop. So much so, it was absolutely mind-blowing moment. I believe the birds are still alive, and she's called them Gerald and Ritchie after us.
Yes, and that is Linda de Gonzalez, and she still has them.
Yeah. And it all clicked into place there. So I'm just really interested as to why did you pick the animals, and how did you choose which ones to go on there?
Well, it is funny because even the Ace of Pentacles, and I put a fish on that one, and I did hear about that a little bit.
I bet
and
you did.
Yeah, and even before I printed the deck, I thought, should I change that? But I thought, no, I'm going to go with my original instinct, because I know it is an emotional deck by nature. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take that little bit of leeway and put that. It's okay that it's on the Ace of Pentacles, but I chose the fish because of what that kind of fish represents, because of the spirit of that fish, and prosperity and wealth and luck and fortune and everything are energies that particular creature exude. So yeah, and I just loved the idea of, like, you'll notice all of the aces, they're presenting you with the opportunity of that suit, right? They're like, here it is. Are you going to grab it? Because that, that fish, for example, is going to plop right back down, and that coin is going to go all the way to the bottom of the, whatever water source it is. So, yeah, so I focused on picking creatures that I felt had the energy, exuded the energy that I thought fit the suit. Yeah, and the otter is perfect for. Actually, it's funny, guys. I've seen an otter in a few other decks since, thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm not the only one that thought about the otter in that card." Yeah.
Well, and so the Ace of Wands.
Lovely.
And so that's great.
I love them.
Yes. Just to catch up a little bit in the chat, and Kaylee Fogo Pogo has sent you a message on Etsy about getting one of your decks. No rush in responding. And Michelle Marie, Astrological Tarot, and her husband, who's probably watching, said, "In the Tarot of Oneness, behold, a sight that leaves you gobsmacked bold. Robyn's creation, a mystical dance, guiding souls through cosmic trance."
That's beautiful.
Lovely. And Deanne said, "Dare to be different. I love it. Makes me think of Lenormand."
Yeah.
Which brings me to an interesting point. Have you ever considered making a Lenormand deck?
Yeah, I have, actually. I have so many ideas. There's too much going on. I gotta calm it down. But yes, my plan is to make a Lenormand at some point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It works so well in this style.
Yeah, it would. And Beth said, "That's awesome, Ritchie. But if you read for me and I get an otter, I'm not equipped to adopt one."
Oh, they're so cute.
Just a bit of water. Just need a bathtub. That's all.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
To which Maru said, "You otter know." And so, and Chris is actually the Lenny readers will love the fish.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, all right. You can't see Deanne because she is on Ritchie's channel and we're simulcasting.
Yeah.
So, all right. Do you have another card, Ritchie?
I do. I'm going to ask Robyn about the Emperor card, because this was one that came up when we did our live last week, wasn't it? About this one. And it's the one card that I have just a little bit of, I want to know more about it. It didn't quite unlock like some of the other cards did. So I'm just interested to know more details about it. And I have worked with this in the last week since then, so I am loving it more. But just give me some more guidance.
one of my early ones that I did for sure. And I really liked, because I had done the Empress and I did, as you know, the elephants. And I thought, well, I really should, I want to do an animal then for the Emperor. I felt
Yeah.
like it was good to do that. And to me, the lions, the ferocity, the presence of the lions was, something I wanted to have on that card. I thought that was a really good animal for that. And I really wanted it to be about having a kind of panoramic vista where you could see quite a distance.
Yeah.
And what I really, thought was interesting too about the lions is that they are the same color as their surroundings. Like they can, sneak around in the grasses and everything, and you can't really see them. And that's, like that little wee, it looks like a little wee lion way in the background. That's a male lion that is eyeing up this pride here, and that there is danger out there, and you can keep your eyes open, but you kind of have to look for it and be aware of it. And so I mean, that's, lots of stuff like that in that card where I just liked. Maybe I went a little heavy on the RWS symbolism in it, and that's why those symbols are in the front. But I did that with a lot of cards too, because I wanted to keep it very user friendly, so that beginners who use the decks, when they pulled that card, they could see it was the Emperor because of those symbols right off the hop. And you can interpret you're either the female or the male lion, whatever you feel. You have that opportunity to be whichever one feels right for you. So yeah.
No, I mean, that makes absolute sense, because when I did look at the card, I was drawn to what was going on in the foreground with the Ankh and everything, and I didn't actually look further afield than that. I didn't even notice till Jaime mentioned it last week that there's a lion under the tree.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was just going to say that too.
Point, right? Yeah.
And that's the beauty, I think, of a deck like this is, all of the decks are good to what you pay attention to. In this, it's like, okay, so are these paws? Is that the right term, Jaime? Paws. Okay. Are these paws a lion or are they a lioness?
Right.
Yeah.
And I will give you an out, Ritchie, because this is like one of my cards, right? And so it shows up an awful lot. It doesn't matter what deck it is, it shows up all the time. So I think that, I have this teeny tiny little magnifying glass. It's like this big with a little handle. And I'm like, boop, boop. So that's how I found him. Yeah.
And that is kind of the point. Like, and there's quite a few cards like that where you might not necessarily see some things at first, and several readings later, you'll be like, wait a second, what is that?
Yes.
So I kind of put that throughout a little bit, because I really wanted it to be like, even the structure of the deck, because I know it's not in your typical order in the book. For example, I've put it as cups, wands, pentacles, and swords. That's not your typical order. But that's kind of how I see people experiencing each of the cards in the deck, is emotionally, and then sort of all those feelings and passions and creativity, all that wand energy, then sort of becoming a little more grounded with what you're looking at and what you're seeing, and then intellectualizing it. So I really wanted it to be, that's kind of the process as you look at each card. So yeah, it's I'm not surprised you wouldn't see the little lion in the back at first.
Yeah.
I love that explanation. Thank you. That's a great takeaway for me. It's how you experience them.
Which
yes, Jaime.
Something that you said, Robyn, leads me to my absolute most favorite card in any deck. It's probably the second card I go to, but the Nine of Pentacles has my baby snail. I don't have to imagine it. It's right there.
I was so excited when I put him in there because he's so tiny. And I was like, I wonder if people are going to see that. Like, if you read the book, you'll know it's there. But yeah, I was like, I'm going to just check it in there.
When I got this deck, all I did was flip quickly and pulled out the cards that I always like to look at. And then I laid them out. And I think I screamed and I sent a text to Gerald.
That's awesome.
And Thomas Terrier Way is here. And Jaime is the Sherlock Holmes of tarot. So we do have that feel. That. Jaime, do you have another card that you want to talk about?
I have a few. I only have one card, which you already know, that causes me to pull my pigtails out, and you see I succeeded. They're gone.
The Two of Pentacles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which one?
The Two of Pentacles.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
I get it. I do get it. It's funny because that was one of my later cards that I drew. And I was like, oh, that was a tough one for me. I was like, how am I going to do this? And I get it, because every time I went to review my drawings and everything, I was like, how do I feel about this? Like every time I saw it, I was like, oh, like I really am. There's 3 objects in this, and specifically 3 objects. But I hummed and hawed over that, and I was like, do I take one of the batons out? And I actually decided to keep it, because every time I saw that card, it gave me like a and I feel like that's part of the feeling of the card.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's supposed to give you a like, okay, I got to think about this here. So I kind of liked the uneasiness that it gave every time I saw it.
So I will like it now because of your explanation, because I continually Photoshop it out in my head.
And you can do that. That's okay.
No, I actually dig it, because this is the wonderful thing about what we do, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that we learn then from the creator of the deck why. And once we have the why, we can go, oh, well, shit. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're asking the questions, because that was something with the book too. It was important to me to put the symbols in there, and so the meanings and what I was thinking behind the symbols, because there's so many decks I have that I think, why is this like this? Why is this?
I have a rune deck that is like the most beautiful thing ever, and all the runes hang down on these chains in the cards, and there is no explanation.
Wow. Yeah, I'd be lost in that one. Yeah.
Well, it's back there, never used.
Yeah. Beautiful, I'm sure, but
oh golly, yeah.
And you mentioned the guidebook, which is beautifully written. And as people because if you haven't watched the flip through, you will, but it is set up to where you have a color image of the card, and then you get information and the symbols, which I appreciate. I'm a huge, that is important to me.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Jaime, I want to talk about this one, because the Two of Pentacles is my favorite tarot card ever.
Really?
It is. And when Jaime and I were actually opening this, I went to look at the Two of Pentacles, and I went, wait a minute, where is the Two of Pentacles? And I'm like, there's 3. And then I paused, and because the pentacles are in the clouds, it's the energy. And this is what it feels like to be balancing those things. And a lot of times we see jugglers on the Two of Pentacles.
Yeah.
And so this is you actually, because in the 2, you got how are you balancing? Are you riding a bike on a unicycle on a wire, and what are you doing? So, it just makes perfect sense. It's okay.
And I would love to say that I'm that intellectual, but
that doesn't work for you.
Okay, Gerald, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head with this deck. It's what does it feel like?
Yes.
And that is what this deck for me is about. That first moment I picked it up, it's like I've stepped into the card. What's my senses telling me at this point?
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful way of reading a deck. For me, it was an unusual way of reading the deck. I've talked about it before. Is it a 6 of Wands with the camera flashes? I think I talked about that last time. Yeah. I can't find the card now.
I got it.
Oh, there you go. That whole be careful what you wish for, and the kind of the brightness of those camera flashes. Quite unsettling. I found it quite.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because some people will be excited about something like that and being in the spotlight and the limelight and getting all this tension and focus. And then some people, like, to me, that's a very paparazzi kind of card. And to me, that's, like you were just saying, there's all that anxiety behind it. You're out there, everybody can see you, and you're being focused on, and it's not necessarily always a good thing, Yeah.
Jaime, you have another card that you're holding.
I do, because I want to, if we haven't heaped enough in your direction, the sword suit, yeah, the sword suit is probably the best executed I have seen in a super, super long time.
Oh,
Because usually, I'm going to say a cuss word, okay? Just
do it.
a warning. Usually people fuck up the swords and they
Yes.
make it all about this. You know, I have a deck over here that I can't use because of how they've done it. And it's nothing about up here.
Yeah.
You know, so I have to compliment you there. The Two of Swords, I'm sitting at the table, I'm looking. I want to know what you were thinking and why. And then the Ten of Swords, because they're my favorites.
Yeah. I had to laugh because I did watch your other video and talking about in this hotel or bathroom doors.
Oh, the European bathroom, yes.
European. So I've never been to a European bathroom, so that made me laugh. But like I love the like hotel room door kind of idea too, where that feels a little psycho, like the movie Psycho. That's what it feels like. But really with that one, it was about this mystery. Like you were in this mysterious space. And you have these options. And so the way to best I show the options, I thought, was with the light shining from beneath the doors. And there's something enticing about either of those. There's nothing scary about either of those. There's nothing more uplifting about either. They're just equally like, what do I do?
There's an inviting choice with the color.
Yeah. And then the keys are hung in the middle. So it's like, you know what, you're going to have to make a choice, but there's your keys, you make your choice and you go with it. But yeah, so I wanted it to be about mystery, really, about that, unsure, but that it's going to be okay. Whatever you pick.
Yes. Yeah.
Take a feather with you when you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and Rossi had said stabby, stab. That's all you see in the sword suit. Not in this one.
Yeah.
You actually get some great depth with it. So.
Yeah, and one of the things too is a lot of the cards I do feel the same. I feel like swords. Like I always dreaded pulling a sword card in a reading because you think, oh no, like what? Oh no, what now? But I wanted also, even with this sort of darker stuff like the nightmare stuff or the Ten of Swords, I always wanted to inject a little bit of hope. So even the Three of Swords, it's brighter on one side of the card because I wanted, even though it's this card you don't want to get, there's hope. Like if you look to the right of the card, it's brighter than the left of the card. So I just wanted it. I know it's red, but there's a little hope on that side. Same with the Ten of Swords.
It's not okay to use Rossi's thing, but it's not a stabbing red.
No, exactly.
Yeah. It's not one that
is sadness in that card too. Actually,
and this just in, Rossi says, I'm in and on other decks. I have this deck and love it.
Yeah,
so
no, we
got it. Yeah, totally get it, Rossi.
Yeah.
And Chris said, really interesting that we can't see the photographers in that 6. Today's world's very centered. If you get really close, you can. So, but I like this.
You have to look.
Today's world is very centered around clicks and likes, and we often forget to connect with our people. This embodies that perfectly.
That's so true. I like that a lot.
Yep. And Jaime, your other one was the 10 of Swords.
Yeah.
And then Ritchie, you're up.
Yeah. So that one, I mean, again, it's all about the feeling, right? So the first time you looked at that card, when you look at that card, I wanted it to, you feel the cold water. You feel the sort of the loss that's already happened, and it's the aftermath. You're floating in there and it's cold, but there's all this hope on the horizon, and then you can see the ship coming by, and then in the glow of the dawning day you can see, oh, there's a life preserver right there. It's right there. I can get that. So I wanted the hope injected into it, so it wasn't just about a body on the shore with swords in it.
Look at that. I am intellectual. I got it.
Yes, you did. And I think, Robyn, one of the things that's truly amazing about this is a lot of times there is a sense of desperation in the 10 of Swords. And I, you know, the way I learned it, it is about seeing that the sun is rising. It's sunrise in the background, and the worst of it is over. And this really helped. I mean, that comes through very, very clearly. So, and
it is hope. It's
yes.
a new. It's over, and there's hope for what's ahead.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, Ritchie, you are up, sir.
Well, I'm going to turn it on its head and say I want to thank you for the Nine of Swords, because the Nine of Swords, normally I'm a bit, okay, you've got 9 swords, you're in bed, it's hanging over you, okay, you know, but no, we get the full horror of the Nine of Swords with this one there. And this card really caught me because I didn't notice all the things in the background until I went through the deck several times later, and I went, oh.
Yeah, I showed that card to people, and I was like, you know, what do you think of this? And it was always like oh. And I thought, okay, perfect. That's exactly what I'm going for.
Yep. Well,
so I appreciate you for doing that one.
Yes. Michelle has put in, by the way, Michelle Williams is here. Michelle Williams, do you have this tarot deck, by the way? Tarot of Oneness? Links are below for you to know your limits and purchase responsibly. You know, because that's the way I am. But, okay, so Michelle Marie said, in wait, blindfolded woman, closed doors, wait, glow of the moon, intuition. Here, glow under the doors, wait, crossed arms and sword over heart. Here, feathers and keys, which says meditate for answers. So for the 2. There you go. All right, Jaime, do you have another one that you'd like to share?
Yes. It's the Empress.
The Empress. Yeah.
The absolute sweetest card ever.
I mean, elephants, and the maternal connection in elephants is amazing. It's just unparalleled, and I just thought they were the perfect creature.
Well, and for me, I look at the female elephant as being the boss of it all.
Yeah,
conquering it all and surviving and still being able to raise that itty bitty.
Yep.
But she's the powerhouse of it all.
That's right. And they're standing on that sort of soft, fluffy, pinky, you know, there's all this like warm, cuddly energy there.
She'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Ritchie.
Okay. I'm gonna pause. Ritchie, Jaime, what do you got?
I'm just looking. I mean, I'm always admiring your color palette and your choices of color. And I went talking particularly about blues and purples, and again the awakening card.
Yeah.
Quite often when Gerald and I and guests do readings, we do them 3 cards sort of straight on, and we often with this deck talk about how the colors are similar in the cards that are going across. So, but this one, the awakening card, what was your thoughts about changing awakening and giving us this image?
So with that card, I mean, just starting from the name of that card, judgment, I just feel like the word judgment itself has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
And, you know, just from my own personal experiences growing up too, it's just, it's a bad thing. The word judgment is almost a bad word to me. And I mean, it's not, but you know what I mean? It felt too harsh. So I thought, well, what is this? What energy do I really want to, what is the energy here? It's not judgment in the typical way to say, you know, the dictionary definition. But so I did feel like awakening was a better fit, or but the purple is very much, you know, the higher realms. Purple is very much, you know, third eye and above. It's very much the spiritual realms, and blue is peace, right? It's very much peace and balance and calmness. So it's kind of got this really soft but intuitive blend there. That's kind of what I was thinking. And I also didn't want to do anything too definitive as far as what you're seeing there, what you're reaching for. I wanted it to be whatever you imagine it to be, but that it's upwards, right? It's an upwards reach, or connection.
Can I ask, because you used the word, do you see it as letting go or do you see it as receiving?
I see it as both, to be honest. I see it as both. It's like it's connecting. It's like that channel back and forth is open. So it is both.
So, I want to get caught up in chat because amazing things have been going on. If there's a lot of love for this, Robyn. Okay,
Yay! I'm very happy.
I hope you can feel it. So, but Tony, Antoinette, Tarot in Jewelry was actually very disappointed when you were on when the shop was on vacation, and has asked, you know, I'm late, I'm still working. Is there a confirmation when the deck will be available to purchase? It's available now.
Yes, I turned the shop back on. It was on holiday mode for a week. So it's back on now. And I also want to mention the full-size deck. The stock numbers are low, but I have a reprint happening right now, so I can stock back up. They should be ready any day. So there may not be any gaps there, but if you do see that it's sold out, it'll be extremely temporary because I do have a new batch.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so Tony, it's there. I've been watching it too. It's there. And Vanessa S has said, I've been grieving immensely, and Robyn's Three of Swords card is speaking the words I can't put together on how I feel. The card is very powerful. It's true. That's beautifully said, Vanessa. Beautifully said. Rossi said, I'm so happy there's no naked baby on the sun card.
I know, no kidding.
So, you know, and I love the way that you show, I should probably show that, shouldn't I? Be a good host, Gerald. There you go.
There we go.
Seeing Castles of the Dream. And So there's that.
And again, that's about the feeling, right? It's like you want to feel the breeze in your hair and this, you know, the ocean, and smell the smells of the sea and all that warm goodness there.
Yep. And nature doesn't judge. Well, my dog judges, but otherwise nature doesn't judge. Yes. And you're welcome, Tony. You're welcome. Calla Lizzie is here, and Jeffrey is dividing his time between channels, as many in the chat are. And okay, there was one other thing, and then Ritchie, you can go. And Deanne said, all right, 2 new decks coming my way. And she got the regular size and the mini.
Yay.
So, yes, it is so good to listen to the creator of this gorgeous deck. Very inspiring. So, all right, Ritchie, what do you got?
Well, this is, I suppose, a triumph. I'm finishing with this card, but we're not finishing. But when I started my channel many years ago, my deck collection was dark, quite masculine, quite monochrome. Gerald, and I've mentioned many times, it was like my dark soul. And over the years, my tastes have slowly changed. But it wasn't until I got your deck, Robyn, that I suddenly realized how far I'd come, because the card that I found absolute joy in, I was a bit like, Richard, have a word with yourself. What's happened to you? Was the 10 of Cups, because...
Oh, I'm so excited you talked about that one. That's my favorite card.
There is something... do you know what? It shouldn't tick any of my boxes, but it does, this card. And it is joyful. It's got... I don't know what it is about this, but it just brings me absolute happiness, more than any other version of the 10 of Cups that I can ever think of. Again, you've got that family unit, you've got the rainbow, you've got the RWS association there, but it's done in such a beautiful way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it could have gone horribly wrong, but it's beautiful.
It is. It's funny because that's another one that I felt was a little bit of a risk in some ways, and I've heard one person talk about it on a live. I think I can't remember, but it was a while back. Because when they saw it, they were like, "Why would you put orcas on a card that's all about love?" And like, they're such vicious creatures, and yeah, they're apex predators, but so are we. You know, so are humans. So to me, though, that's not what the card's about. The card is about the family aspect and them all traveling together, and the fact that their family is not necessarily just blood. It's by choice too. And I mean, it's a bonus that the rainbow is already on that card in all decks pretty much, but I just felt like it entered in a whole other realm of family and connection as well. So, and they're all traveling together, they're all moving together and flowing together, and so yeah, that's my favorite card in the deck.
So Ritchie, I'm glad you pulled that one because I kind of had so many that I couldn't pull anymore. But so there was a whale here that came up from Mexico that was at one of our aquariums. And I got to know him very well. His name was Keiko. And he was the most amazing, loving, whimsical creature that he loved his people. And he was raised, like I said, in Mexico. And when I was down and I was doing a coordination or whatever, and we had a group of Mexican students come in. Keiko had been on the other side of the tank, but he was paying attention. And when he saw these Mexican students come in, he beelined right for the glass and was going from side to side looking, because that was his family, right? And he recognized, because he had very good trainers and all of this and that. But yeah, that card embodies Keiko for me. And I have so many pictures of him just giving me the look of, what are we doing? You know,
they're brilliant. They are so brilliant.
It's a lovely card. Thank you, Ritchie.
Yeah.
No,
that's a
thank
great
you,
story.
Robyn, I'm going to say, for that one, because that just sums up my wonderful journey with this deck.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, so one of the things that I have been doing, Robyn, is since Ritchie encouraged me, showed me this deck, and I bought it, I have been using the deck for multiple types of readings. For readings that are about love and lightness, for readings that are about difficult things, readings about darkness and challenges. Tarot Stash approved. The deck works for all of those types of readings, and it's quite good, because I would say the deck offers support for whatever you're dealing with, and that's a key thing. It's not going to make you forget about it. It's going to offer you support whilst you're dealing with it.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
That's amazing. Yeah. And one other thing I want to say too is that when I was creating it, I was worried that people would think it was a deck just for personal readings and personal experience. And that's okay. But I thought, once I had it all drawn and all created, I thought, oh no, I love that. Like when you're doing a reading for someone, you pull the cards, you give your thoughts and interpretations, and then the people that you're reading for, because they're very approachable cards, it's interesting to get their insight and what their first thought is when they see it too, to add to the reading. So I found it really great in working with others too. I was worried, but it worked out.
It's not just worked out, it's surpassed. It's really amazing.
Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad it's well received for sure.
Oh my God, yes. Kaylee has been talking about getting a mini deck, and I think this will be the perfect one. Plus, I'm purchasing responsibly. My birthday is the end of April.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. And Tony said even Jaime is bright and full of love today.
Tony, what in the hell are you talking about? I read that comment and I'm like, what? Am I Grouchy Gus or what?
You're never Grouchy Gus. I mean, except just with me when I deserve it. All right. So this has been wonderful. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you. And send me an email with everybody's stuff. Like, I know I have it, but rather than dig, that would help me a lot if you send me
you're
addresses.
Very, very kind. And Tony has said purchased with Gerald made me do it. So you know it was during this during this.
Nice.
That is hilarious. So
I love it.
And Zane is here, Tarot Token Witchery. Hello.
Hey, Zane.
And, yes. And yeah, I love it. Which is all the time, Gerald. So that's why there's playback. That's why there's playback. So Jaime, anything you'd like to share or heap in Robyn's general direction whilst we still have them here?
Thank you.
Right back at you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. It's lovely.
Yes. Ritchie, what about you?
I echo all of that. Thank you, Robyn. This has helped. This deck has helped me out and other people out when I'm using it through some dark times, and I appreciate it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And I would say your ability to connect with whatever inspiration you believe in is quite strong and has made it through your brain, your eyes, and your hands onto the creation of this deck. So I love it. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you. All right, I guess I should end because I could go on for another 45 minutes, but we won't. So links are below for people who would like to know your limits, purchase responsibly. We're here to sell, not to share, or we're here to share. We're here to sell, not to share. Tarot Stash made you do it. That's a bit of fun. So, but Jonathan also bought the mini deck. Jonathan.
Yay.
So, but all right. Everyone, thank you. Robyn, you're wonderful. And I look forward to compliment ye gods.
Awesome. Well, thank you very, 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 very much.
Yes. And yes, Gerald was busted because apparently anyhow, we're not talking about me. So but thank you, Robyn. Hang out for a few minutes until we're done, and everyone take care. Thank you for being here. Bye.
Bye.